Welcome back. Another week to learn and grow and develop and get better. And that's exactly what we're doing this week, covering the topic of accelerating your 2025. How to do that with a little bit of work that we're going to put in today. By the end of this episode, you are going to have two proven ways to fuel 2025 and make it your very best year ever. And I think that's pretty enticing. So stick around and get ready to work, because this show is about you and how much work you're willing to put in, the mental bandwidth to have a crazy good 2025. Before we get there, just a couple of quick announcements. Did you know that 83% of organizations have some form of leadership development program in place? And this highlights the widespread recognition that cultivating leadership skills within teams and organizations matters. It's like most executives know that leadership doesn't guarantee a team's success, but a lack of leadership guarantees there won't be success. However, despite the high percentage of companies with leadership development initiatives, the effectiveness, the scope, the cost, they vary widely. Most of them are really ineffective, even though most of them have some form of program. That's why this year there are two great ways for your organization to level up their leadership development programs. The first is the Accelerate Leadership Program, a done-for-you program for your managers to help them lead their teams more effectively. The second is the Leadership Growth Plan. This is a done-for-you software where each manager fills out their goals, their skills, and they get action plans to help make sure that they're intentional about their growth in 2025. Go to learnloft.com to find out more. All right, this episode is all about how to fuel your 2025 and make it your best year ever. And to do that, we're going to start with a story. There was a rugby player named Dan Carter, a legendary rugby player, and he played for the New Zealand All Blacks. Now, this is important because the New Zealand All Blacks are one of the most successful franchises in the history of the world. They've won the World Rugby World Cup 3 times. They have a winning record that over decades that is almost 80%. Maybe the highest of any professional sports franchise in any sport. They have a culture of winning, and they have a culture of leadership. Now, Dan Carter was a pretty good rugby player. I mean, he's a professional, but he wasn't a great rugby player. And Dan Carter suffered a really serious injury, so much so that he wasn't sure he was going to be able to come back and play for the New Zealand All Blacks. And it was during one of these really tough seasons where he's unsure of himself and he's questioning himself that one of his coaches asked him what his purpose was. And he said, I've never really thought about it. I don't really know what my purpose is. And the assistant coach said, well, if you want to come back better, stronger, or even at all, you've got to know what your purpose is. He said, your purpose has to be bigger than your goal. Because his goal was just to get back, but he had to have a deeper purpose than that. I mean, he was a good player, but not a great one. And so Carter decided to do some real work. And he leaned into this sense of, what is my deeper purpose? And he came up with something that fueled him. And it was a question. And the question was this: what would an all-time great All Black do? What would an all-time great All Black do? Because his purpose, he determined in this season, was to be an all-time All Black. Not any kind of All Black, not just one that played on the team, not just one that made tackles or scored, but an all-time great All Black. That was his purpose. And he kept this purpose at the forefront of his vision. and he returned stronger. He demonstrated that having a deeper purpose was bigger than his personal goal, because every single day while he was hurt, he would ask himself, what would an all-time great All Black do? What would they do? And as you might imagine, this fueled his success, because when he had to make decisions about what to eat, what would an all-time great All Black do? Make the healthy choice. Do I feel like working out? What would an all-time great All Black do? Everything became about asking him this question of, if my purpose is to be an all-time great All Black, I've got to start living in alignment with that purpose. Dan Carter went on to become an all-time great All Black. He wrote a book called The Art of Winning. It's a fantastic read. I read it over the holidays. It was an inspirational book about his story and of purpose. But he teaches you and I that our purpose has to be bigger than our goals. So I want you to write that down. My purpose has to be bigger than my goals. You might not achieve your goal this year, but your purpose has to be bigger than it. It's going to make something out of you to try to achieve that goal. So if we know what the bigger purpose is, it can continue to fuel you beyond 2025. Now, to uncover your purpose, I know that's a big and a deep question. We're not going to go deep on it today, but there are 3 questions that I like if you're trying to determine what your purpose is that you could write down. I'll put them in the show notes for you so you can see them. The first one is, what impact do I want to have on others or the world around me? Number 2, what values and passions drive me to keep me going even when things get tough? Number 3, if I achieved all my goals, what would still feel like it's missing or unfulfilled in my life? 3 powerful questions. And maybe we're not there yet. Maybe we don't want to go deep. And for the sake of today, and for the sake of this episode, and especially at the beginning of the year, I just want you to think about, what do you want to become this year? What do you want to become this year? Now, a couple years ago, my wife made a courageous decision to go get some help for an eating disorder. And she left our home in Charlotte and went to go get help for 45 days in a facility in Tennessee. And she did something really amazing when she was gone. She wrote these handwritten notes and she put them in a bag. And every single day, my kids got to reach their hand in this bag and pull out a handwritten note from their mom, a little inspirational message, since they couldn't talk to her. And one day, my little Lucy puts her hand down in this bag and she pulls out this note. And I'll never forget what it said. It said, "It's not about what it is. It's about what it can become." Dr. Seuss. And in that moment, I was so proud of what my wife was becoming. But I also couldn't help but think about that right now. What do you want to become this year? Do you want to become an all-time All Black? What do you want to become? Here are a few examples that I just love. What would a best-selling author do? A best-selling author, what I want to become. What would a world-class speaker do if speaking is my priority in 2025 or my purpose? What would a world-class leader do if you're a manager of a team? What would a world-class husband do if your purpose this year is becoming a better husband? What would a world-class father do? I'm on a personal mission right now to increase my speed for golf. And I wrote this one down for myself. What would a guy who swings the driver 115 miles per hour do? Again, that's not my whole purpose for the year, but my challenge to you is once you know what your purpose is, you have to define what I'm calling your primary purpose. What is your primary purpose going to be this year? It doesn't mean you can't be more than that, but for right now and for today, I am looking for what is your primary purpose. To be a world-class X. Insert your answer. Okay. I think you should hit pause right now just to make sure you write something down. The first thing that comes to mind, a world-class X. Okay. But once you have your primary purpose, that's not enough. Yes, it will help guide your actions. Yes, it will help guide your decisions. Yes, it will hold you accountable. But we still need more. We are humans. We are weak. We need help. So a primary purpose is a great start, but it's not enough. Next, we need to define your faith words. Your faith words is just a simple mantra or phrase that you can carry with you in 2025. It's actually more than one word. It's a mantra. It's a saying. It's something that you could tattoo on your forearm if you wanted. Don't do that. But you get the idea. It will inspire you. It will carry you when you don't feel like it. It'll carry you when you doubt yourself. Now, last year we launched a brand new company called the Sales Infrastructure, and it works directly with venture-backed companies to help scale their sales efforts. And that often means partnering with a sales team of a 5, 10, 15, 20 person sales organization. It gives me the opportunity to work one-on-one with their sales team. And this one particular organization had a young man on it he was learning the skill. He was early in his sales career and he had a lot of doubt, but he was coachable. He had incredible work ethic. He wanted to get better. He had the foundations of being successful, but he just hadn't done it yet. In fact, he sabotaged his success daily. He kept saying, John, I'm always getting stuck at the end of the sales cycle. I'm just not a closer. That's an extreme globalizing word. It's not always. And he doesn't get stuck every single time at the end of the sales cycle, but he had started to believe in his mind that he wasn't a closer. Now, he wasn't stuck. The deals weren't stuck because he couldn't close. He just hadn't done it yet. And I'm going to tell you what I told him. Just because you haven't doesn't mean you can't. I mean, write it down, baby. Just because you haven't doesn't mean that you can't. See what this young man needed. Yes, he needed to develop the skills. But what he needed was faith words. And his faith words that year became, I am a closer. And it was part of his job every single day on his way to work, on his way home. I am a closer. Now, it didn't make him a closer immediately. That's important to know. But he was becoming a closer because he believed that he could close. What are your faith words? I'm worth it. My destiny is bright. I am strong and courageous. What are your faith words in 2025? What is the mantra that you are going to make visible in front of your mirror or in front of your desk, or that you're going to say to yourself before your feet hit the floor in the morning? And this is so critical because the words that you say to yourself are the most important words you say. Your voice is valuable. We got to speak good things to ourselves. The world is hard enough. So what are your faith words? Okay, let's recap. So number one, we've got to know what your personal purpose is this year. This is critical because your purpose has to be bigger than your goals. Number two, what's your faith words? Your voice is valuable, and the words that you say to yourself are the most important words you say. Now, can I guarantee you that if you define your purpose, personal purpose today, and you write down your faith words today, that you will guarantee to achieve more in 2025? Unfortunately, I cannot. But what I do know is when you know what your purpose is and you have defined your faith words, you will automatically live better and have clearer and more focused actions in 2025. And those are the process things that lead to better outcomes. And it's the things that you can control because it's the outcomes that you can't. And it's my hope that the story of Dan Carter using those personal purpose when his life was really difficult will help you define a purpose in 2025. And it's my hope that the story of that young sales rep that didn't believe he's a closer, and he said, I am a closer, and those were his faith words, will inspire you to come up with a mantra or a phrase to carry with you in 2025. And the only thing left is to share those two answers with somebody else in your life. Tell your manager, hey, here's my purpose for 2025. I'm going to be a world-class X. And here's my faith words for 2025. I'm a closer. If you don't have someone in your life, I'll be that guy. Just email me him, jeades@learnloft.com. jeades@learnloft.com. You don't have to say anything except, here's my personal purpose and here's my faith words. Boy, just by sending them to somebody else, they're going to get so ingrained in you. You're going to hold yourself accountable. It's going to be world class. It's my hope that 2025 is your very best year ever. And this, my friends, is a great way to start it off. Until next time, be a great leader at work and at